Welcome to the Dixie Doggers podcast. We're here to share knowledge and heritage. We hope y'all enjoy. For the best cut gear in the business, get with Dave Williams at Southern Cross Cut Gear. www.hogdoggear.com.
If you're buying or selling land, farms, or hunting property, these folks know land. Phil Wilson with UC Hunting Properties, 678-791-3483.
777 Kennels, Advanced K9 Nutrition. Vertex K9 Essentials, Advanced K9 Nutrition, beneficial to all breeds. You can contact them at 979-206-3050. All right, everybody out there, Dixie Doggers podcast coming to you one more time. We got a guest on with us tonight. It's a little bit different than some of the hog hunters and the bear hunters, and I'm excited about this. I've been following him on social media and watching his YouTube stuff for a while. It's Mr. Dan Braman with Melon Ranch Hounds. Mr. Dan, how are you doing today, bud?
Man, I'm doing good. I hope you guys are doing all right.
Oh man, doing great. Oh yes, doing great. How's the weather out there going?
It's hot. It is bad hot here.
Yeah.
I've been trying to go cat hunting for the last 3 mornings in a row, and I walk out on my porch and just turn around and go back to bed.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I've got to get on a roof in the morning, and I think I'll apply that to that roof. Oh man, that's one thing that, like we were talking just a few minutes ago. Nate's always wanted to get into some dogs to run some bobcats with.
Yeah.
Now where you're at down there, you said South Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all have mountain lions down there too, right?
We've actually never caught a mountain lion on this property that I predominantly hunt, but we have caught a lot of them just west of here. No more than an hour and a half or so.
Okay, I got you. I was just, I get to thinking about that. I've got some friends that they're out there toward Ozona.
Yeah, there's tons of them out there.
Yeah, and that's what they were telling me. They was like, man, we find more mountain lions than we do. They said they're about as bad as coons sometimes. I said, you got to be kidding me, man. Because here,
there's a lot of them out there.
If somebody says they see a mountain lion here, first thing they say, oh, it's a black panther jumped across the road 30 foot long.
Right. Man, I got bad news for them. They don't come in that color.
That's exactly right. And I love it, man, because there's at least once a month somebody will see one around here close to the house, and we have to go through that whole spiel about melanistic animals and how they, and they're like, nope, don't care. I'm like, science doesn't lie.
Yeah, they'll tell you I saw what I saw.
Yeah. Oh yeah, without a doubt. I'm like, you sure it wasn't like a big German Shepherd? But no, that's cool, man.
Man.
Doing the stuff that you do with the bobcats,
mm-hmm.
that it's something that's a little different. I don't know how many cat hunters are out there in the world, but I know there's not a lot on our side of the Mississippi River. What's the population of guys that run hounds on cats out there?
Well, there's certainly more on this side of the river than on your side, yes. But it's still by far there's less of them than anything else. I really don't know why that is. I know of probably a half a dozen of them off the top of my head, that I could name, and there's more than that, I'm sure. But I bet there's not 30 in the entire state of Texas.
Wow. Now there's a big population of cats, though, correct?
Oh yeah, it's huge. Yeah, especially in southern Texas, it's enormous.
We've got a friend we went and visited. I don't know about 3 months ago. We went out there with. Do you know Case Frida? But
I don't. No,
I didn't. He runs a few cats. He's more of just whatever species is there in front of the dogs.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not like he only specifically runs cats. So, but anyway, he was talking about how many cats are out there, and
there's a ton of cats. I've never seen anywhere, and I've been to a lot of places. I've never seen anywhere like South Texas as far as bobcat population is concerned.
Why do you think that is?
I think the habitat is about as perfect as it can get for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think any natural predators that they might have the habitat really, really helps them, stay away from it. The brush is so horribly thick, and there's mice, and there's birds, and there's rabbits. There's everything, and we don't have tall trees in South Texas like you guys do. So, little birds in a nest in the top of a pine tree is one thing, but in the top of a 15-foot mesquite tree is a whole nother story.
Oh yeah, yeah. They definitely can get their feel.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's predominantly a habitat thing, and that nothing else makes sense, man. I think that's what it is, and we've caught on this ranch alone. I've caught over no less than 100 bobcats a year since 2008.
Wow.
And some of those years were over 300. But and the only reason I didn't do it, I started in 1980, but I didn't get very good at it until I was, older.
Yes, sir. Did you not get the memo that bobcat hunting was hard?
Somebody they tell me that all the time on my social media.
That's all I've heard.
Man, if I would have known that, I'd have picked something else to run, but nobody told me.
I was sitting there thinking, I was like, holy crap, that's a lot of cats, and I've talked to several guys that run dogs on cats, and they're like, man, it's just so hard. I was like,
I think maybe that might be, what is the biggest contributing factor to, the YouTube channel and my social media doing so well, because maybe it is that difficult. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not that it doesn't seem that hard to me, but I never knew any better.
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad thing, I mean, if it goes that good, they'll let it go.
Yeah, I guess so, man.
And so now, what's your choice of dog? I already know what your choice is, but for the listeners out there, what's your choice of dog?
Oh, the running walker, hands down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Now, why the running walker instead of a tree and walker?
Or several reasons. The reason that I started with running walkers because I grew up hunting coyotes with my dad, and that's what he used.
Mm-hmm.
And when I decided when I was 10 years old I wanted to run bobcats, I had this idea that he was going to buy me a pack of dogs from somebody, and that's not what he did. He gave me 6-month-old puppies and said, if you want it bad enough, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I just started off with running walkers, and I've had friends bring tree and walkers here, and they do okay, but they don't have the speed, it doesn't seem like, and they don't have the bottom, the toughness to get through this brush and put enough pressure on them to consistently catch cats. I'm not trying to ruffle anybody's feathers by any stretch of imagination. But I've never done it, but I would bet you anything that I could take every one of my cat dogs out to the mountains in Colorado and New Mexico, and I couldn't catch nothing. Absolutely nothing. I don't think they'd be worth a darn out there. But they don't seem to have the toughness and the speed to consistently put enough pressure on a bobcat to catch it, where I'm catching anywhere from 97 to 98% of every 100 that I jump.
Dang.
So, but that's my reason. And
that's a good reason.
I've tried some other dogs early on. I tried some tree and walkers, and I actually had one that did fine, but all he did was tree. He had enough sense to just shut up and follow him. And then, I'd see a crossing and he'd be 200-300 yards behind my hounds. But then when the cat would go up a tree, he would catch up and locate.
Oh, okay.
And usually before my dogs do, and they tree pretty good, but not like him, but he's bred to do that.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
That's, we got a running walker now, and we run him on hogs.
Mm-hmm. I have a friend that runs running walkers on hog.
I'm gonna tell you, what happened is we run into the same issue that probably 80%, 75% of hog hunters are running into now, and that's hogs that want to run and they don't want to stop. And if they do stop,
I think you can attribute that to the people that hunt hogs that dogs may be lacking just a little bit.
Yes, they need to wake up and look in the mirror and be honest and say, look,
That's absolutely correct.
I like this dog, but it's not a hog dog or whatever type
Yeah,
dog. You got to be honest with yourself is the number one thing. And that's a hard
that's
thing to do.
absolutely right.
It took a long time for me. I'm not saying for everybody, but it took a long time for me because there's times where I've had a dog and I just hoped and hoped and I'm like, man, and I knew I'm like, man, this dog ain't going to make it. I don't know why, let it be a yard dog, whatever, but it ain't going to make what I wanted. But I agree with you. That's when the hogs really started running and they just didn't want to stop. So I fought it tooth and nail as long as I could. And I got a running walker. And I'm going to tell you, it changed everything.
Well, there's a guy that lives here in town, 4 or 5 miles from me. He actually hunts on the same ranch as I do. He's a retired state trooper, and he runs pretty much all running walkers, and I mean a pack of them on haul.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty cool to listen to because he'll have sometimes an hour and a half race.
Oh,
yeah. On a little 60, 70 pound shoat that sure enough wants to run.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool, because most people here that run hogs use cur dogs, and it's nothing like that. But
that's right.
He might be somebody you might want to call and talk to someday too. He's a good dude.
All right. Yeah, we might have to check that out. We've got cur dog. We got a bunch of mixed up dogs too. But a lot of our races are long. Like we've literally had some races that were, I think the longest race we had was like 7 or 8 hours. That was down there with Logan and them. We put in on that. It was one of the first long races we had. And I'm talking about 100 degrees. I don't know how these dogs can even do it. It's like, oh my God. And number two, it's like, how does this hog still run it?
Yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yes, it really does. And but I try not to get in those situations. I try to help my dogs. I was watching the video of yours, and the cat had crossed the road. Me and Nathan were watching it, and you were calling the dog. The dogs were back down the road, and you had seen the cat, and you called him up and got him up ahead. And I was like, that's what you should do,
Yeah.
Get them, set them up for success. Put them where it's at.
Right. That's just because I get so excited. I just want to bark with the dogs too.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. But like with the social media stuff, and yours does really well. When it all first got kicked off good, all I heard from a lot of different people was, and of course I know you receive backlash just like any dog hunters do, but you just got to be careful with what you post. But I think it's a good tool. How do you feel about that?
Well, to me, social media is no different than your pocket knife or your pistol, man. I mean, it's only as dangerous as who's ever holding it. I think you can use it for in a positive light, and I think you can also use it in an extremely negative light. Sadly, though, far too many people have this mentality of it's a free country and I'll do what I want. And although I don't disagree with they should be able to do what they want, they shouldn't put things on there that gives the other side ammunition.
Yes.
You won't ever see any of that on my social media or my YouTube, because I just don't edit things that way, because I realize and respect the fact that some people might be on the fence about hunting or not hunting, and they see that, and all of a sudden, boom, man, they're anti-hunting.
Yes.
And I'm not going to contribute to making more people that are against what I love how to do. I'm just not going to do it. And I wish more people, would take that into account, because social media is the future. I mean, that's where everything is. And, it doesn't take just a whole lot of sense to figure out, man, I probably will not show that. And I've got friends that do it, and I've told them, you shouldn't do that.
Oh,
and,
we've got a lot of them that do it from the hog hunting world. I hate to even say it, but like we're some of the worst as far as showing shit that don't, or stuff that don't need to be shown a whole lot real bad, like
Right.
7 dogs on a 50-pound pig, it's like, dude, you don't need to show that.
Or dog that
You
got
no, you don't.
Or a dog that
just
got busted up. Yeah.
hit. Yeah, they got into
Yeah, and
that's
I've got a friend up in Virginia that hunts cats and fox and does really well. I mean, he has great dogs, and he'll hold up a fox or a bobcat, and it'll take 3 people to hold up all the pieces.
Good Lord.
And they post a picture of it, and I'm like, man,
Yes.
why can't you just take a picture of your truck and say I caught one?
Yeah.
There's just no need for that.
We redone our whole, and we don't have a big YouTube by no means. It was growing really good, and we got knocked off. We had a couple videos. They were on the line. Even for me, I was like, man, that's just. But then again, it was like the videos that got our channel wiped down was there was no contact of dogs to the animal or anything like that. And me and Nate both talked about it. It was like, the videos we have, we'll show a bay. We don't show the bulldog hitting. We don't show none of the good stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like you said,
No, absolutely.
Some people love to see that. Well, guess what? We have a Patreon account. Sign up for that, and you can watch it there.
Yeah. There's
That's
just
private.
It's just a better way to do things than if you're going to put this is my opinion. If I'm going to put something on a platform that is visible to everybody, then I'm going to give them the least amount of ammunition that I can to go against me, but at the same time, still try and show others that like it what I do.
Yeah, you got to be classy. That's what I like to say that, like be classy about it. It's within every means that you can be. Like there's like in your line of work, you get 6 or 8 hounds out there and they grab a 20-pound cat. It can be a mess in a minute,
You bet.
You don't want to show
You
all
bet
that.
it is. And I don't shoot the cats. The only time a cat ever gets shot is when we have clients, hunting bobcats. The other times I just knock them out of the tree. And, it gets not suitable for internet on dang near every one of them.
Oh, I can imagine.
But that's also what makes cat dogs.
That's exactly right. That's one thing right there that, I can see that me and you agree on right there. Like we were talking about, just being honest with yourself with dogs, making these dogs and hunting these dogs. Everybody's got their own style. I noticed that you road hunt. You put those dogs on the ground in front of your truck a lot.
Yeah.
Instead of rigging. That's
pretty much. Yeah. It's the only way I hunt. I do rig some bobcats, but I never have done it on purpose.
Okay. There you go.
They'll just drive over a track and they'll bark in the truck, but I've just never done it that way. And the only reason I haven't is because my dad road hunted coyote dogs, and that's how I learned. 50 years ago. I'm 55 now, and I started about then. So 50 years ago.
And so it produces really well, right?
Yeah, it does fine for me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the rigging. I've got some friends in Oregon that rig bobcats, and I went up hunting with them, and that worked very well too. It's just not how I did it.
Yeah, I've got a buddy of mine. He rigs everything, and he was like, "Why do you put your dogs on the ground?" I said, "Well, I road hunt." He was like, "It doesn't make any sense." I was like, "That's just the way I like to do it." And then we got into schematics of it. I was like, "Well, I put it this way: we've rigged hogs. Ride down the road, rig them." I said, "But if I'm hunting, I'm going to be in the area where I've probably done my homework and know there's a good boar hog at, and I want that nose close to the ground."
Yeah.
And
there's absolutely no way you're going to ever convince me that a dog is going to smell more from above the ground than on the ground.
Amen.
But it does work. It does. And another thing too is that one of the worst things a hound can do for me is bark in my truck. I mean, I will make that a real bad idea really fast.
Yes, sir.
And so it'd be pretty hard for me to have a rig dog because of the trouble they get in for barking in the truck. And I'm not going to get out of my truck and jump a dog up on top of the dog. I'm not doing all that.
I don't blame you.
And hell, for that matter, my dogs, they hunt so much. It's very important that they be in as good a shape as they possibly can be. And riding around on a truck isn't helping that.
No.
That's just my opinion, though. But hey, if that's what you want to do, I think you should do it.
There's truth to that, because I mean, I'm 20 plus years road hunting myself, and I have yet to have a dog that got too tired to run the track. Yeah. They jumped that son of a gun. It's like, okay, let's get it. And don't, even if we've road hunted for 2 or 3 hours, they're still fired up because they're in shape.
That's right. And they're getting in shape because they're running down the road. I mean, you think about, you just jump out of the front seat of your truck after riding around for an hour and a half and just take off and run a mile versus walk down that road 500 yards and then jog a mile. You're going to be in a hell of a lot better shape at the end of it too.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my thoughts, but there's nothing wrong with rigging. I know a lot of people that do that. I just don't do it.
Yeah.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Quick thanks to the supporters of the Dixie Doggers podcast.
Light Hounds.
Southern Cross Cut Gear.
Phil Wilson with UC Hunting Properties.
Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company.
777 Kennels Advanced Canine Nutrition.
And the old Boars N Broads. So that, is there a certain line of that y'all started out? I know you've got your own line of dogs, but
yes, sir.
Is there a heavy influence of something y'all started
with? There is, yes. My dad, they're all derivatives of my dad's hounds, and most of that would be goes back to the liquor foxhound blood.
Yes, sir.
But it's obviously very diluted now, and some of ours, my brother has cat dogs too, and he and I trade cat dogs back and forth. We can't hunt together; we kill each other, but we do trade dogs back and forth. And we found a trig hound up in Virginia. It belonged to a man named Cecil Boggs, and we ended up buying 3 of them. Well, 2 of them weren't worth a nickel. Well, they didn't make it, but that one turned out to be one of the best hounds that we ever had, and we crossed that into the running walker. And on some of our dogs, and that's still in there, and it's a little bit more recent than the liquor bred stuff. So that's kind of where we're at now.
I got you. Now, is there a certain look that you like for your dogs, or does it matter?
There is. I don't like a real big dog. Sadly, I have a couple of them that I think are too big, but they're too good to get rid of. I like a little bit smaller, kind of tight-built dog with, tight feet and straight legs, just because the brush here is so bad. And it's not something that I can explain. Nobody's going to understand it unless you just come here and see it.
Yeah,
but
it's bad.
It's bad. And that seems to be that kind of dog, that build seems to get around better. 50 pounds, 45 pounds dog. I don't like any of the big, long, leggy ones. And it's been my goal for my entire life to have all saddle blacks, just blanket backs with a tricolored head and white. And I got to within 1 dog of that, and the best dog I have now is white. So that's screwed.
That's there you go. That's how it works sometimes.
I know it, but that's still my goal. I doubt I'll ever get there, but I tried, and I got very close, but I messed that up plenty bad.
Now, when your dogs are on the ground, they're running, or they say they strike or anything, or they have a locate and then open trail, or are they pretty tight mouth and then
they trail, but mine do it a little different, and it's not something that I trained. I think it's just the bloodline that does it. Obviously, you're always going to have 1 or 2 or 3 dogs in a bunch that's more than likely going to start whatever it is you're hunting. And in my case, it's, Shooter or Stormy. And when they start, all the dogs are going to go right to those that are barking but then they're going to leave, and you can watch them on the GPS. You get 3 or 4 of them are going to make a circle to the right, 3 or 4 to the left, 3 or 4 further out. Some will go behind us. And what they're trying to do is shorten that track up. And, you sit there for a minute and Ike or Rain is going to bark, 200-300 yards further away. And then Stormy and will, the ones that started it will shut up and go there and start trailing it again. And then that whole process will start over. And you take a trail that would normally take, an hour or so to work out, doing it step for step. And you can have this cat jumped and running in 20 minutes doing it that way.
That's
but
pretty wild.
It's not something that I trained. That's just how that bloodline of dogs hunts. But once they jump, then you can cover them all up with a blanket. They all get together and go then.
Yes, sir. So you don't have like real long races. Most of yours are pretty quick.
I would say that once we jump a cat, I'd say the average race is probably 15 minutes.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty quick. Very quick.
And he'll either tree or get caught on the ground, and we only tree about 40%. We catch about 60% on the ground.
Wow.
They just put too much pressure on them to think climb most of the time.
So they've got their head up running.
Oh yeah, you watch them. You can go on the YouTube channel and watch the crossings, and every dog that crosses the road, his head's level with his spine. He's smelling up in the air and rolling.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. Just
a
huge difference.
It really does.
And I don't think it matters what game you're pushing. Is if you have that dog and he's putting that much pressure, and he can drift that track and just keep pushing like that and apply that pressure that fast. Like you said, the game, it doesn't know where to go.
Yeah. No, it's worked for me for a long, long time. So
that's pretty cool there. So how do you own your pups? What kind of process do you have as far as like?
I actually just wrote an article for Cat Hunting Magazine about this. The first, right after, from the time they're weaned until they're 6 months old, the only thing I want to do is kind of, obviously gentle them up, and, just mess around with them. But I don't do anything with them other than to watch their personalities, because their personalities tell me how much heat I can put on them in the process of making them cat dogs. If they're walking around with their head above their spine, their tail above their back, that's the dominant ones. And then you'll have the other end of the spectrum, and then you've got in the middle. And that kind of tells me how much pressure I can put on them to make them what I want to be. From that point, at 6 months old, they move from a puppy pen altogether over into the pen with an old dog. And then I'll start hunting them. And I don't do any drags. I don't put things in traps. I don't do any of that. I just take them, load them up, put a collar on them, load them up. When I turn the old dogs out, I usually have to drag them out, and we go hunting. 90% of the time, man, I'll lose that dog for the hunt. He'll just wander off. He or she'll just wander off, just not knowing what to do.
Oh yeah.
And I won't go get it until I'm on the way home. And they usually get lonely, and they're so happy to see you that after 1 or 2 times with that, they'll start staying with the dogs. But I catch 4 cats, and if they don't go with the old dogs and 4 cats, they don't make the cut.
Yeah, I got you. That's
because they might make it, and a lot of people disagree with that position, but they're more than likely not going to make what I expect.
Yeah, that's that part. That's the being honest with yourself. It's like you don't want a mediocre dog. You want a great dog. You want top of the line.
I do, and then from there, it's just a matter of catching bobcats. And it's always been my opinion that if I have the right bloodline, I'm not going to show my dog what to do. I'm going to show my dog what I don't want him to do. Mother Nature and God can take care of everything else. He knows he's supposed to run things. I just want him to come here when I say come here, get in when I say get in, and don't run that, don't run that. Yes, run that.
Yep.
And then after that, man, it's just cat after cat after cat after cat. And that's where, there's so many people think that I have something special about training cat dogs. I don't. I'm honest with myself. We have created a really good bloodline, but I've got cats, and cats is what makes cat dogs.
Yes, sir. Yeah. If you don't have the game that you're chasing, whether it's cats, coons, squirrels, deer, hogs, if you don't have them, it's hard to do it.
Yeah, it's virtually impossible. But like I started 4 puppies last winter, and by March the 1st, they had been on 46 bobcats, and I started them in the last day of November.
Dang. Yeah, that's a lot of cats.
That makes cat dogs.
Yeah, I don't know that I've seen 46 cats my whole life.
Yeah,
I'm being serious. Like that's probably about what I've seen. 50, maybe 75. We'll just go crazy and say, yeah, I've probably seen 75. And that's going all over the dead gun place. And
I took my granddaughter riding around last night on the ranch for just a little while, and we saw 3 bobcats just in the headlights.
Goodness. Now you've traveled a pretty good bit with these dogs.
No, I've traveled in Texas with my dogs, but I have hunted. I've done some guiding with other people's dogs, the other outfitters' dogs, but I've never used mine outside of Texas.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I might have misunderstood that part. I thought I know you said I was listening to something where you talked about going to the Africa.
Yeah,
Africa.
Run leopards. Yes,
yeah.
I've done that, and
That's pretty cool.
And jaguars also in Bolivia, but I did not. I never used any of my dogs.
Okay, got you. Which that's
honest to God, I don't think my dogs would be worth feeding in the mountains. I really don't. I think they're too fast. I don't think they can smell good enough in that dry climate. I just don't think they would work. I might be wrong, but I just don't think they would.
Yeah, you talking about in like out west?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I was going to say over here, I think they'd be great. On this side,
they'd be fine. Yeah, I think they'd be fine where you are.
Yeah, we got a lot of moisture.
The only thing that might get them where you live is the size of the trees. They might have a tough time locating because they don't have one molecule of tree blood in them.
Yeah, that might be tough there. Yeah,
that could get them. But what they would do is stop running and just stand right there where they last smelled it, and then you could walk in there with GPS collar, and within, I don't know, a couple weeks, if you caught 10 or 12 cats, you could get them to where they would do it.
Yeah.
But,
they could adjust.
Yeah, I think they could do that, yes. But I don't think they do well in the mountainous country.
Like, we've got a pretty high humidity most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So now where you're at, humidity can fluctuate a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we've been lucky enough to travel close to your area and other areas throughout Texas. And man, that humidity can just jump around. So how do you deal with that? Or how does it affect your dogs that much?
I don't think it does. The dogs are raised right here. So it doesn't seem to affect anything. What does seem to guarantee you're going to catch a cat is if you can catch it when the barometer is falling, you're going to almost always catch one. Other times you probably are, but you might not. But if it's falling, you can bet on it.
I got you. That's something good to know there.
Well, I've kept a log book since 1980 of every single hunt I've ever been on.
Really?
And yeah, I have. And, part of that was, moon phases and weather. And my dad did that coyote hunting is the reason why I did it. And, after that many years, man, you start to see correlations, like, hey, the barometer was falling. I caught one. And you see that, happen 1,000 times. You start putting things together.
Oh yeah. With these, when these cell cameras first came out, I was like, yeah, these things are great, but I was using them at the wrong way. So I started using them more like a log book,
right.
And I could go back through pictures, like say if I had, 3 days in this month where I had the biggest boars came out. I'd go
Mhm.
back, and I'd go back over a 6-month period or a whole year, whatever, and look at that moon phase, like you said, temperatures, the barometer, the whole 9 yards. And like, so I kind of know what week I want to hunt the most.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, it's just doing your homework. But I kept a logbook, and it's nowhere near what it should have been. But I kept one for the most part for the first 10 years. And then I started doing that. I'm kind of surprised that like a lot of guys our age, you know, in the 50 to 60-year-old range, a lot of us have a lot of shit wrote down.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, we do.
You know,
We do. I don't know why. It's kind of fun to me to go back and, you know, look over them after
yeah.
all these years. Just a fun deal. I'll tell you something about a cat that the only reason that I thought about it was because of you mentioned trail cameras. If you see a bobcat, if you got the dogs loaded and you see a bobcat run across the road in front of you, there is a better than 50% chance that you will not catch him, and a really good chance you won't even bark at him.
Yeah.
And that's always been extremely strange to me. I went hunting last winter. One of my cameras went off, and I went, "Oh hell, there's a bobcat there!" And I took the dogs over there. Not one bark.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, man, there was a dew on the ground. It was 35 degrees. It couldn't get any better. Nothing.
I've had it happen with hogs where they run across the road.
My son hog hunts, and he won't turn out on one that runs. He won't do it either.
I will not. Man, I've had guys go with us, and they'll get stomping mad. And I'm like, well, I don't give a damn. You know, you get mad all you want, but I am not turning loose on this. Now, I'll come back in an hour, and we'll go running, catch him.
Yeah.
But if I see him, I have caught in the last 15 years, just from hunting in this one area, I've caught 2 hogs that I've seen cross. One of them I tell you what, came back and caught him.
What's weird is that if I find where a cat crossed that I can walk out in the brush, because I'm not going to crawl out there to try and get him going, but if I can walk, if I can get those dogs in there 100, 150 yards, I'll catch him every time.
Mm-hmm.
But crazy. They will not smell him. And when my dad was still alive, I asked him what he thought, and he thought, and who knows if it's true, but he thought that Mother Nature had a way of, when it's startled, of killing its scent.
Yeah.
You know, for just a little while, but I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I mean, look, so that generation there and the generation before, they had more common sense and just a more, I don't know, a broader outlook on things like that than most any of us do in this day and time. And
I told him, I said, man, that's crazy. I said, that's you know, that's kind of weird. And he goes, well, you tell me how you can turn 12 dogs loose and go road hunting down a road and start a cat and cold trail him 3 miles and then jump him and catch him, but they can't smell a one that you just saw run across the road. He said, it's the only thing that makes sense to me.
Yeah. No, I do. It's bothered me nonstop for years. And now, of course, I have talked to some guys, and they're like, "Oh, if we see him, we'll catch him." And hey, my hat's off to you, buddy. I don't know what you're doing different, or what the deal is. I think the difference is they might be turning a dog loose that's running by sight instead of by smell. But the dogs I use have a nose on them, and they cannot smell it.
Yeah, mine either. Don't feel bad because mine can't either.
You know.
And my son's hog dogs can't either. He won't even turn loose on one.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I agree with that 100%, man. I don't even want to turn loose.
Yeah, he won't do it.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I'm glad you said that, because that made me feel a lot better. Because there's been times where I'm talking about it and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, is it just me or my dog's that bad? You know, what's going on?
Well, if they are, mine are just that bad too. So don't feel too bad.
Well, if mine are as bad as yours, I'm happy with that. Oh man. No, now is bobcat, that's pretty much the only thing that you hunt?
Well,
with dogs?
With my dogs, yes.
Okay.
That's all I hunt. Yes.
I got you. So what else do you do besides just run the bobcat dogs?
I guide elk hunts, which I'm getting ready to leave here in a few days, and sheep hunts, aoudad hunts, whitetail, everything,
Wow,
waterfowl, cats, everything for Melon Creek Outfitters.
cool.
Yes, sir.
I bet you've seen some stuff in your time doing all that. How long you been doing that?
This is my 35th consecutive year.
Oh, so that's all you've ever done is hunt.
Pretty much, yeah. Hunt, yes, absolutely. That's all I've ever done.
Wow. I mean, I've hunted a lot, but not for the public. I've hunted for myself, but I don't know the past, probably close to 20 years now. I've guided a good bit here, just taking people on hunts. Man, that can be a pain sometimes dealing with some folks.
It can be. It can be. I guess I'm just too stupid to quit.
Oh, come on now. So what kind of temperature you prefer when you run them dogs? What's your golden temperature when you say, hey, we're gonna go turn them loose?
My favorite time is December, January, and you get those evenings at about 2:00 when it's in the high 40s or 50s, and you look out across the pasture and if spider webs are floating in the air.
Oh yeah,
that is the ultimate time. Of course, South Texas, we get about 2 weeks of that a year.
Yeah,
but I really, really like that. I also like it right after a little shower, because it seems like the cats get up and start moving. A cat's no different than a house cat, man. It doesn't really like to get wet.
Mm-hmm.
So when after a shower and that sun comes out, they get up and go to moving, and obviously they can smell the crap out of them when they're wet. So that's another favorite time of mine too.
Now the cats, they have like a scent post and stuff that they use. Yeah,
the males do.
Okay.
The males do. Yeah, they do.
I thought so. I've trapped some, but I've never, like I said, we've never run any on dogs. Or never run dogs on. We've treated a few on because the dogs decided they were going to.
Right.
But and I don't get mad at them. Most of the time, it was a young dog or a pup, and I use pretty much the same method you do. It's like I'm going to show you what I want you to do.
You're right.
You know what I'm going to guide you to what I want you to. They're going to run anything that they can.
Right.
But I just got to be like, no, I don't want you to do this, and I don't want you to do this. This is what I want you to do. And we've had some pretty exciting time. Bobcat, we thought we had a great coon dog, and it really humbled the hell out of me. This dog was getting smoked, and I'd walk to the tree, and about every 100 yards, and I was like, "What is going on?" And then it would go about 75 yards, 100 yards, and he'd just blow up again, tearing the bark off. I was like, I didn't know what was going on. So I called a buddy of mine, an older man. I was like, man, I was telling him about the dog. He said, oh, you just got on old Bobcat. I said, you think so? He said, I guarantee you that's what it was. And we went back to the same place. Sure enough, we went down there and run him with his dog too. Had a pretty good little time,
Right.
But them dudes, that's a whole different game there, man.
And man, I hear a lot of stories about cats jumping out of trees, and I don't know whether it's the number of dogs that I use.
These were bushes. Let me rephrase it. These were more like what we call them sweet hedges here, and they're about like black brush.
Yeah, I mean, we never have. I mean, we do have it, but it's rare that a cat jumps out before we get to it. It just doesn't happen, and I don't know why that is.
How many dogs do you run?
Oh man!
At one time,
I won't have less than 12.
Oh well, that's probably what it. Because like we only had one.
Yeah, no, I won't have less than 12. I think I can catch a cat. I know I can catch a cat with any 3 in there, except for the young dogs. But I just like hearing the racket, so I take.
Oh more. Yeah, they sound good, man. I used to hate it. I didn't want any dog to open at all. I don't know why.
My son's the same way. He will get rid of a hog dog so fast.
And now I run open hog dogs.
Yeah, he doesn't like that at all.
Shit, I put that running walker in that pack, and he's pretty tight when he's cold trailing. He don't say a whole lot,
Right.
But when that son of a gun jumps, here he goes. And let me
Oh,
tell
yeah.
you, everybody was like, "You're going to run them across the country." I said, "We ain't going to run them that far. I promise you. At 20 miles an hour, he's going to shut him down."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that son of a
Yeah.
gun is I did not realize how much of a difference it really was. I used to be that same way. I was like, you can't catch a hog with a barking dog. Well, if that's a hog dog, you can. If that dog's
Yeah.
barking or not.
If he's running to catch, you can do it. If he's just running to follow it, you probably won't.
That's amen. And we've had that debate. Well, I say debate, but we've had that discussion on, like running to catch and different things on some of these dogs. And I'm like, I said, the foxhound, the trig, the running walkers and stuff like that, that whole running to catch deal is different than a pit bull running to catch. I was like, that's a different thing. A pit bull is supposed to catch.
Right.
That's what they're for. I said, you get a hound that runs to catch. I said, that's a whole different animal.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're sure breeding a lot of that out of them nowadays.
Yeah. Yep. I believe so too.
Yeah.
Is there any line out there that, any line of dog right now, a running walker, other than what you guys got that you would recommend to somebody looking for any to get into?
Yes. Yeah. And I don't know what happened to them, but they're actually in Brenham, Texas. And the guy's name was Shannon Rosca.
Okay.
And I don't know what happened to him. He fell off the face of the earth. So I have absolutely no idea. But I got 4 of his puppies as weaned puppies just to see what they were.
Mm-hmm.
And I had absolutely no expectations that they were going to make it. And all 4 of them made as good a dogs as I've ever had.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Man, that's pretty good odds right there.
Yeah. I mean, they are good dogs, but, I'll tell you more. I'll tell you more about him after we stop recording.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
That because there's so many people out there. We've got a big group of listeners worldwide, and man, I was cutting up and just carrying on about my buddy Rusty. I said, we got some yellow puppies. I said, so Rusty's wanting to sell them, and was just messing with him. Well, we was talking about puppy milling. And let me tell you, his phone started ringing that evening. People was trying to buy. They was like, "You got some dogs for sale?" And he sat there. He said, "No." He said he got another call. He said after the 4th call, he said, "That damn Joey." He said, "I know he's done something." And I was like, right. I said, "Buddy, we were just joking, but I know exactly what you mean. You gotta kind of pick and choose what you talk about sometimes."
That's right. That's right.
Now, are there many the coyote population out there? It's even more than cats, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's probably, I bet there's 20 coyotes to every one cat.
Wow. I was always told that I'm not a biologist or anything, I don't know that, but I was told that that coyotes would eat the bobcats.
Well, I think that's right. I think they do, and I think that's a contributing factor to why areas don't have as many bobcats as we do. But going back to our habitat and it being so thick, at any given time, a bobcat hears anything, all he's got to do is jump, and he's going to land somewhere that a coyote can't get to.
Yeah. That's some of the thickest stuff I've ever seen.
It's terrible. And every year I get older, it gets thicker.
I thought people were just kind of talking it up, Now we've got thick stuff here too. We've got plenty of places where you got to get down and crawl in there or beat your way in there, or you just don't go. But everything y'all got will stab you and bite you and cut you. Everything.
That's right. I know it's terrible.
I said, God Almighty. We went out there and CJ told my sons. He said, "Look, when y'all shoot these deer, don't do no double lunging, none of that." He said, "You pop them, break them down right there in the middle of the sendero." And he said, "We don't want to track none." And my uncle shot one, and it only went like 40 yards.
Yeah, but that's bad enough, man.
Dude, it was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
bad.
ridiculous. I don't know how y'all fellas do that shit.
It's kind of like why we run cats. We didn't know any better.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. I mean, I noticed in your videos that pole you got, that's a power company pole
Yes, sir.
for popping lock the grounds.
Yep. Yep.
I told him that. I said I used to use one of them quite a bit. I worked for a power company.
Yeah.
Long
I
time.
wish I could come up with something that was a little bit less trouble to carry, but that's the best I've come up with so
Yeah.
far.
Now some of them were pretty heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when you're crawling through this stuff, it gets real heavy.
Yeah, I don't see how in the world you drag some of that stuff out there. And you hunt by yourself most of the time, don't you?
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah.
Good deal.
Mhm.
And you
Once
got
again, though, it's just that I didn't ever know any better, so I still drag it.
So on your let's talk about your hunting rig and some of your tracking equipment stuff. What are you running on all that?
All Garmin's. I have a Jeep, just a Gladiator that I put a flatbed on and a dog crate,
Gotcha.
and then I've obviously all Garmin tracking collars with the TT15 collars and 300 eyes, and then I've got last year they sent me a one of those Garmin Alpha XLs, which is really nice piece of equipment. Works very well.
I was curious about those. I've looked at them. We went to the Dogtra system earlier this year. Give it a try. We've just had a lot of issues with our Garmin stuff, but I'm gonna go back to Garmin as well and just have both systems and run both collars. But I think I'm just gonna get the XL just to keep it in the truck. And I was curious how do you like it?
It works really well, and it worked good for me, especially because I didn't have to have my glasses to see it.
Yeah, that's there you go. That's what I need.
And that really since that's the reason why I asked them to send me one. But then I found out I needed glasses all the damn time. So,
Oh hell.
But yeah, it works very good, for sure. And I don't know, why you've had bad luck with your Garmin's. I've never had any problems with mine at all.
Really?
No, not at all.
I don't. Where we're at, we're in coal country. There's a lot of underground coal mines. Right. And that is one, and I can guarantee you, if you've never had an issue with your Garmin's, you can go right to where we're at, pull up on top of an underground coal mine, and that thing, you can just watch it just move. You can put it on your compass and watch your compass spin around.
Well, yeah. Well, we don't have any of that here.
Yeah, and so we had to deal with some of that, and it got to where that one area that we hunt, it's a pretty big area. It's 30 minutes from my house, so of course that's where I hunt a lot at. And man, once the dogs got past a mile, we just lost. Yeah. We would lose them 3/4 of a mile to a mile. Even with the big antennas on, we would lose them. And it just got to, and then we had a dog got run over because of it. And I was like, that's it. And it was one of the best dogs we've had. And I was like, we're switching. And we've had good luck with we've actually had better service in that area with the Dogtra. I cannot say, oh yes, the Dogtra does it everywhere, because I haven't done that. I'm just saying for what works for us in the area that we hunt.
And I'm probably not a good person to ask about those things, because first of all, the ranches, the size of the properties in Texas are astronomical.
Oh yeah.
So if I get a question mark, then I just drive to wherever that question mark is and I'll pick him up.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't worry about him getting off of the property. I mean, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah. See, that's our biggest concern. Alabama, we don't even have a right to retrieve law here.
You're right.
So if our dog, and true enough, there's a lot of good old boys around here that coon hunt and squirrel hunt with dogs and hog hunt and deer hunt. And so it's not that big of a deal, but there are times to where, I mean, like you're going to get the game warden called, you're going to get a ticket. They'll write your dog a ticket,
Yeah.
It can be. And then we had a lot of big wigs come in and buy the properties up. And then they divided them up to, man, some of these places that I had 5,000 acres in one block. All right. Go back, say 10 years ago, it was 5,000 acres. Now it's a 600 acre block, 800 acre, 1,000 over here. And I'm like, and everybody, it's got a different owner for each block.
Right.
And so some of them won't even let you hunt. And so now it's like, I can't turn my running walker dog loose on 800 acres hardly.
No,
you know,
not with any confidence. No,
not especially like we was talking about how some of these hogs run. You know, first thing he's going to do is, like you said with the bobcat, he's going to try to get to where he knows he's safe.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know, and we don't have public land that we can really hunt. So there's another challenge. You know, so that's one reason the Garmin was such a big deal for on the tracking system side of things. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even carry a handheld. My son has one and Rodney has one, and I'm outside listening to the dogs.
Yeah.
And I can tell you where the dogs are.
I don't carry mine around either. Now I carry it with me out to the tree. I've got a little scabbard that it goes in.
Yeah.
And I carry it with me out to the tree because I've always got young dogs with me. And if they're doing something that I don't want them to do, I can correct it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also times though when I just get lazy and feel like going cat hunting, and I leave the collars in the. I don't even put them on.
There you go, man. If I had a spots like big properties like that, I don't know. Especially with my older dogs, I would never put a collar on.
I never had any collars except for Tritronics shocking collars until it was probably at 99, 98, somewhere in there. I got a set of telemetry collars.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first collars I ever had.
Well, them things right there, they worked. They didn't ever fail you.
Nope, they worked really, really good. They sure did. And I think in a lot of ways that the GPS collars actually have made for bad hunters, which in turn made for worse dogs, because that, in my opinion, I've seen people that start thinking for their dogs and not making that dog work that track out. And the end result of that is he's going to get in a tight spot, and he's just going to shut up, stand there and go, hey, where'd he go? And I don't want my dogs to do that.
No, you're exactly right. The Garmin's or just tracking system in general, it's a great thing. It's a great tool to have, just like the social media deal. But if all you do is stay on one thing, well, then you're slacking on other things. Like you said, if you walk around looking at that damn handheld all the time and you start thinking for that dog, well, you're gonna hurt that dog.
You are. And and I do too. And an example of that is every now and again on a super dark night in a big old stand of live oak trees where a cat trees in there, my dogs they'll stop and they'll know that cat's up, but they can't know for sure which tree the cat's in for some reason. Mm-hmm. And they won't tree. And I know he's up, they know he's up, and they don't bark, and they could be 30 yards from my truck, and I will not go out there. I won't go look. I went, and when they finally get sick of it, or I get sick of it, I'll call them out.
Yep.
I'm just not going to do it, because what's going to happen is you're going to go out there and you're going to shine your light. Well, they're already excited when you shine your light anyway, because the last 300 bobcats you caught, you shined a light if it was nighttime. And the next thing that happened was you jumped the cat out.
Yep.
So they're already associating that light with something fun's fixing to happen. Well, you go out there and you start looking, and who knows, you might not be able to find it in a big cluster of oak trees. So, you're looking around, and then before long, one or two of them will start barking because they think you see it. And then you inevitably, in a very short amount of time, you're going to have dogs that start false treeing, and that bothers me just about as bad as one of them when they bark at a coon.
Yeah. I'm glad you talked about that, because that is 100% real thing. Good friend of mine done it squirrel hunting with a good squirrel dog during the daytime. Mm-hmm. If the dog treed, and you went over there and say, we say the squirrel wasn't out. There's a nest up there or vines. So we start shaking vines, hitting a tree, try to get the squirrel to timber out. Well, we look to the right. There's another tree with vines. So we go shake that one. Well, that dog's watching us.
You bet.
And eventually, okay, well, the squirrel breaks. Bam. Somebody shoots it. Squirrel's down. Ta-da. And the dog's sitting there thinking, well, hell, I ain't even got a bark. And after 3 or 4 times of that, it got to where she would just go to barking at any tree that, if there was a bunch of vines or if it just looked like a good place, she would just go to treeing. And she was slick treeing.
Yeah, and 90% of the people would blame it on the dog.
It's not
not the dog's fault.
No, it was not the dog's fault. And it literally got bad enough. I could look at a tree for about 30, 45 seconds, just look at it. And she would jump on it and just go to y'all. She'd start treeing just by looking at the tree.
Yeah.
And it was not her fault.
No, but just so many people that don't understand. Well, first of all, they don't know what they're doing, and they probably had the wrong mentor when they got started.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you don't know what to do, it becomes very, very easy to accidentally do exactly what you're not supposed to do.
Yes.
And I see that. I think that's an ever-growing epidemic right now in our world these days.
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy call me today and ask me, somebody bought a cat hunt through the outfitting business, and the guy called me and he said, hey, so-and-so bought a cat hunt. He's coming down in November. Do you mind if I bring my dogs and go with him? And I said, no, sir, we can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know you. And he got plumb upset with me, but just get over it.
Yeah, you have to get over it. We have some hunts that, and I'll tell people like, hey, we're going to be doing a lot of training.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have dogs you want to bring and run, you're welcome to do it. But also know that this is not a guaranteed hunt. This is not a trophy hunt. We are going to be training dogs. I ain't even worried if we catch a hog. If we do, that's great. I got to see how these puppies are going to act. I got to see how these young dogs are going to work. And I might have to work them off a deer or off of a coon track or whatever. I think people get caught up, and you tell me I think people get caught up in trying to catch the game and not worry about the dog.
I think you're right. I absolutely think you're right. And I think that translates over to something else too, is that how many of those people that you're talking about would hunt at all if Instagram didn't exist?
Oh Lord, probably a very high percent would not.
I agree with you. And I think that that's one of the reasons why bobcats is so unpopular,
mm-hmm.
because apparently it is very difficult to do. And, nobody wants to go through the pain of what it takes failure after failure after failure to finally arrive at a bunch of dogs that can actually pull it off.
Mm-hmm. And there's guys out there like me and you, and there's so many guys out there now that, we use social media and we use it as a tool.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get some of the guys, some guys will see it and they'll be like, oh, I want to do that too. And man, they'll go buy up a bunch of dogs or not even buy them. They'll go hoard them up, and they don't have tracking collars. They don't have hunt rigs. They don't have kennels or damn money for dog food, and then they want to pollute the world with, and then they start breeding and want to sell puppies for $100 a piece. And that's the craziest stuff I ever seen.
Yeah. And I told a guy one time that was just, we don't sell dogs, my brother or I.
Mm-hmm.
And, this guy was adamant, and he obviously had way more money than sense. And he was offering me stupid money, like money you would pay for a brand new truck for a dog. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, and I finally got frustrated enough. And I said, man, listen, I said, this is where the two stupidest people in the world met right now, right here, you and me.
Yeah.
I said, you for offering that much money for a dog and me for not taking it.
Amen, brother.
But I said, you're just going to take this dog and you're going to go home and you're going to turn him out. And within 30 days, that dog is going to be as useless as he was the day before I started him.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know what to do with him. And if you're going to own a running walker, you best have your head in the game, or you're not, or you're going to be, get used to losing very, very, very soon and very often.
Yeah. Yeah. That you are correct on that. I've been around dogs all my life. And when we got into some of these hounds, they're a whole different deal. The running walker dogs.
Yeah, it's a different animal.
It's a different deal. Pat Lewing, I've heard him, he's told me 100 times, like, in order to run those type dogs, you got to be closer to God.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand his, his analogy at first, but I do now. It's like you got to be like true enough, like where you're at, you got a big property, but somewhere else, say, if you've only got a couple thousand acres or whatever that you can hunt, man, look, you better know how to talk to people to go get your dog off their property. And you better know how to cut dogs off, and you better know how to pack to them.
That's right. That's right. That's absolutely right.
And some people just don't need them. They can't even run a good cur dog, much less a powerhouse dog like that.
Yeah, and that number is growing.
Yes. And like you said, it's a lot of it is the influence from social media, people wanting to take a picture and be cool.
Yeah, I think that's most of it. That and I think the pin hunts had a lot to do with that too. And I'm most certainly not knocking pin hunts. I think that's fine. Yeah. But I think it required it allowed the bloodline to get watered down because you didn't need the quality of dog to do what you're doing in a pen versus what we do outside.
I've heard several guys tell me that.
There's a coyote pen right here down the road.
Yeah.
From me, and a couple of fellas run coyote dogs in there, and they've got those blue barrels scattered out all in this pen so that the coyote can get in it and the dogs can't get in there to kill it. But they don't want to catch it because they want to run it again and again and again.
Yeah.
And they just sit out there and build a fire and listen to the dogs run. And then when they get it bayed in the barrel and the hole's too little for the dogs to get in, well, then they go catch their dogs and go home. And if that's what they want to do, man, that is fine with me. But you don't need an A-team type all-pro dog to do that, because after you put a coyote in a barrel one or two times, as soon as he hears dogs bark, he's going straight to that barrel.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Because he knows that, here in 5 minutes, they're going to take the dogs away and then it's over.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think it just took a lot of good out of the dogs because you just didn't need to call them that much anymore.
Yeah, because
they'd run it. If they'll run and bark, then some judge is going to be, scoring them coming across a clear cut somewhere. And that's all you need, because they don't care about catching it anyway.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because it's like I've noticed, and I've been to several pens and several hunts. And even some of the dogs that there's a lot of Me Too dogs, I guess you'd say,
There is.
You get a few dogs out there that are good dogs, good solid dogs. But the other dogs, all they're not hunting or doing nothing. They're basically just piddling around until somebody jumps, and then they burn ass and go there and fall in line and go to running.
Yeah, that's right.
They're breeding the hunt out of them by doing that as well.
Yeah, I agree completely. I really think that's right. But I can say that guy that I told you about, that I'll tell you about after we stop recording.
Yeah.
Either I got real lucky, or he's got some solid dog.
Yeah,
solid dog.
If you got that many of them at one time, that's
I got 4 of them, and they're a year old right now. They're 14 months old right now, and I would put those 4 against any cat dogs after the cats jumped right now in the world.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, they're for real.
Mm-hmm. And that's getting, like I said, that's getting where it's hard to find. I got lucky with the one I got. I actually had a pair of them, and man, I tried to give this dog away because I got him to run in a pen.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I was like, I've been feeding him for almost a year, and I was like, there's no pens that's really close enough for me to travel like I need to, and to really give him opportunity. So I was going to put him in somebody's hands, and then nobody wanted him. So I said, well, I'm gonna turn him out with the hog dog and see what he does. That's all I needed to do.
Yep.
I just put him on
story
something.
about those pups of mine. I was taking them hunting, and I only start one at a time, and catch a cat with that one, then I'll throw another one in. Well, the first one I started was a little bitch that I called Jazz, and I was going to go hunting, and my brother was just, out for a drive, and he said, "Hey, man, I just saw a bobcat." I said, "Well, I'm gonna load the dogs in about 30 minutes. I'm gonna go down there and run it." I said, he said, "I threw a water bottle out in the road. It went to the north right there." I said, "Okay." So I messed around and went and loaded the dogs and turned them out about a mile from there and road hunted them up there, and Stormy started it. And the cat hadn't hardly gone anywhere. They got to the brush line out of a little farm field, and they jumped it right there. And I'd be damned if Jazz wasn't opening in the race and fighting the cat when they caught it on the ground.
Hell yeah.
First time she ever been out of the truck.
Hell yeah.
Never run anything before.
Mm.
And I thought, man, that's pretty impressive. And every one of those other three did the same thing.
Yeah, whatever he's doing sounds like he's doing it right,
I promise you. Because I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've been breeding cat dogs for a long time, and making these bloodlines, and I don't think I've ever had an entire litter that made it.
Yeah, that's something right there that the more I've talked to people, the percentages.
Yeah.
I think if you say over the course of 20 years, if you're shooting 50%, you're doing good.
I think you are. I believe that's right. I think it's probably a fair number too.
Yeah, and of course there's some that's going to be a little more, some it might not be as much, but if you're turning out 50% or better, your program's doing pretty good. I would think. We got lucky as hell. We bred this is our first of our own line of these cur dogs these style of cur dogs we're breeding. Now we've had all these cur dogs for years, but we've correlated and put our own stuff together, and now it's our very first line,
Right.
And man, it's just like you're talking about every one of it. And now I'm nervous. I'm like, good God Almighty, we just got lucky as hell. And now it's like, so the next time we breed, I'm sweating bullets because I'm like, if none of them's going to turn out now, damn, it's like shit.
Yeah, and the sad part is that's possible.
It's very possible. Yeah.
I had the best cat dog that I ever owned, or ever will own for that matter. There's no chance I'll ever own another one like him. I bred him to 5 different females. The smallest litter was 7, the biggest litter was 11, and not one single puppy made it out of all 5 bitches.
What? Wow.
Not one.
That's crazy. That's wild.
I know it.
But I mean, that just goes to show you that, I mean, that's how things go.
I know it.
And then you could take an accidental breeding and come out and be on top of the game.
100% you could, because then 4 dogs that I've been talking about that I got from Shannon, he told me that the male and the female bred each other through the fence. It was an accident. It's the only reason why I got them.
Well, I'll be damned. Well, here we go.
Yeah, and here's the even better news. I gave $50 for all 4 of them.
Yeah, that's real good.
Yeah, at $50,000, wouldn't buy one of them right now.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, but we can talk about him later.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's good stuff. And look, we always like to have a good hunting story or two on our episodes. Give us.
I'll tell you one that happened last year, because it's on the YouTube channel, so anybody listening can go watch it, because I'm pretty sure I died. I went hunting last winter one morning, in between the groups of clients coming, and I'm just road hunting down the road, and I hadn't started anything. I'd been hunting a couple hours, and I was thinking to myself, man, I'm going to go up here to the edge of this farm field, and I'm going to hunt it around, and I'm planning my route. Well, Stormy opens right there in the ditch, and I turned it off, and I'm rolling on all my cameras, and I'm talking to the camera, letting everybody know what's going on. And Rain goes in there 300 or 400 yards, and she starts barking, and everything hushes and goes to her. And it's daylight, but not really good daylight yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything goes to her, and they start trailing again, and then smoke hits it again, like 500 yards in the brush. And I looked up the road, just sitting there in the truck listening, and the cat crosses the road like 600 yards down in front of me.
Mm.
And he doesn't even know he's just walking. He doesn't even know they're trailing him.
Yeah.
So I haul butt down there, and I start honking my horn and hollering and going on, because I need to catch this cat and get back so I can take a shower and get over to the hunting lodge. And they hush, and they come running to me. Well, of course, when they get to there, it's on. They're jumped. And they're heading due west, and I'm just sitting in the road, and that pasture is terrible thick, and I'm just sitting there, and they finally get to where they're almost out of here, and so I fire up the truck and go that direction. And they're 130 yards out off the side of the truck there, and running maybe 2 more minutes, and they tree. So I grabbed 2 of my GoPros and my pole. I put on my chaps and my gloves and everything else you need here. And I crawled literally 130 yards.
Mm.
I don't take a gun, and I've rectified that since this trip. The only reason why I have a gun at all. And I jumped the cat out, and he ran about 75, 80 yards. They made a little ooze, and Dixie started treeing. They start treeing again. I crawled over there. I jumped the cat out. He ran 200 yards, and he treed again. And I crawled all the way. The third tree was so thick that I couldn't even stand up to operate the pole. I had to do it sitting on my butt.
Damn.
And I jumped him out, and I thought, man, just for a second, they had him. They were going to catch him. I was like, hell yeah, we got him. And he jumped up on top of the brush, and he ran across the brush right above them and got away. And they treed him again. The long story short, I treed that cat 11 times. And on the 11th tree, I called one of the other guides, and I said, hey, man, what are you doing? He said, oh, we're just sitting here at the lodge. The other guys went to the airport to pick up the clients. I said, you got a gun in your truck? He said, yeah, I got a 40. He said, I got a 44 pistol. I said, you need to come to the Stackia pasture. I'll send you a pin, and you need to do it right now. I said, I'm about dead.
Yeah.
And so he came down there, and he crawled in there, and I looked back at him, and he was maybe 30 yards behind me. I said, can you see the cat? And he goes, yeah. I said, shoot it now. And he shot it with a 44, blew it out of the tree. And at that point, then we were 144 yards from the truck. It took 42 minutes
Damn.
to get out, crawling out on that. So I treed that cat and jumped him out 10 times, shot him on the 11th tree. And that's the only reason why I carry a pistol. It's the first time I've had a pistol on my belt cat hunting in my entire life, and that's the reason why.
Man, that joker, he crawled you across the country.
I sweat through my brush jacket. I sweat through my leather chaps that were around my legs.
Good night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
shit's too thick to be going 40 yards, much less 10 going to 10 trees.
They just, it's pretty rare that you jump him out of 3 trees and something's going to grab him.
Yeah.
But not that day, man. I mean, it was just pitiful. And I forgot. I lost both of those GoPros. 90% of that YouTube video I've got a pair of glasses that you video out of.
Yeah.
And that's all off of that because both of the GoPros got drug off of my belt.
I was always curious of how those glasses did. As far as
they do good. It's a different format than the GoPro, so it takes a little bit more in the editing process.
Okay.
But if all you have is the glasses, I mean, they'd be fine. They do great.
I got that. And
I won't lose those because I had my prescription put in them, so I know if I don't have. Yeah.
No, that would be because like for a lot of the stuff that we do, which I mean, like you said, your son's a hog hunter. You know the spiel. You know how it goes. It's similar to that. You're crawling through all this thick stuff, and then when you get there, of course we're dog and knife, and so you're legging the hog, and if you got a chest cam on, it's
you see your elbows.
Yeah, it's not the best. It's never a great foot unless you just have a cameraman. And
those glasses are really, really nice. I mean, they do a good job. And the ones I have are they're called sports camera glasses. I didn't get the Ray-Bans; those things too expensive.
Yeah,
but these are just called sports. I found them on Amazon. They work good. Excuse me.
Have to check them out.
Yeah, man.
See what them are about. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. And then I guess one more story. I ran a cat one time, the longest race of my life, 4 hours and 40 minutes. And during that race, I got 2 trucks and a backhoe stuck.
Oh, Lord. How in the world did you do all that?
Very carefully, my man. No, I got stuck, and I called the ranch foreman to see if he could come pull me out. And he did. And then he got the backhoe stuck. So he had to call somebody under him to bring the bulldozer, and finally got it all squared away. And by the time I got out and found the dogs again, it was 4 hours and 40 minutes, and they were still running when I got to them. And they, strangely enough, they ended up treeing the sucker and jumped him out, and they caught it on the ground. But usually, if a cat runs over 30 minutes, he's usually not going to tree.
Yeah,
but that one did.
Now, did they like on our Garmin's, our tracking systems? Like a lot of times, we can watch our dogs, and they'll make a loop, make a circle, and then they'll make a little smaller one, and we know, like, okay, they're fixing to bay right there.
Yeah.
Can you tell on yours if they're fixing to tree or to catch him or whatever?
Yeah. I think I probably could, but if I'm being honest with you, I'm never looking at it.
Yeah.
I know that, okay, they hush, they're not barking. If something doesn't start barking within 30 seconds or 45 seconds, the cat's up a tree. Because what a cat will do is once he gets run down a little bit, we call it squatting, but what it is, they just stop and hunker down.
Yes.
And the dogs, will overrun them because they're coming with a head of steam, man. And something, experience has taught them when that happens, they'll double back right quick, and something will find it really fast. And they'll get back up under him. But if they don't bark for 45 seconds or a minute, that cat's up, and I know it. But I mean, I don't carry that thing around with me. I don't do that.
Yeah, I got you.
I hunt more by braille than by sight.
10-4. When we were out there, we noticed that the hogs would squat like that too.
My son has that happen all the time.
Yeah, and that dog, the dog I got, Rick, he done really good. He shined, honestly, out there. I ain't gonna say he's the greatest dog by no means, but compared to my other dogs, he really did way better than the cur dogs there, because he did as good or better than the dogs that were raised there. And this is coming from the guy that we went with. He was like, man, he said, he knows what to do. He said, I would take that dog and just keep him a little while. He said, he'd be top hand here, and of course he's top hand for me, so I don't want to get rid of him. But I didn't realize how, like, those hogs would just squat, and they'd make a little lose, and he'd come back.
I think that the reason, were the other dogs you were hunting with cur dogs too?
They were mixed. They were part cur dog and part running walker.
Yeah. A lot of times I've found that, if it's warmer, and a dog starts getting hot, those glands under their tongue swell up, which forces their throat to open up, more, to get more air in. They're designed to do that.
Yes, sir.
And when that happens, it shuts down a lot of their olfactory senses, and they don't smell nearly as well. Well, if you've got a cur dog doing that, that hound's going to be able to smell a little bit better than that cur dog, just because he's bred to smell better.
Yes.
So, it happens to all of them, but the hound's got to get way hotter before it happens.
Now, the first cast we done, he got hot.
Yeah.
And I was shocked at how fast he got hot, because we've had him in some of these places here in the middle of July and August. And
Right.
I mean, just triple digits, humidity outrageous, but he had never hunted in all that sand.
Yeah, but man,
That cactus, it was just
like
different.
there's no air
No,
down at their level here.
no, there's none.
And that's what really overheats them, because they road hunt 10 miles and not be a problem, but as
Yep.
soon as they get off in that jungle, it's a
Yep.
different story.
Yep. They hit that cactus, and like within a couple of miles,
Yeah.
he was hot. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe that. But now the
Yeah,
next
man.
day, we put him up that day, and most of the next day. When the next evening we got him out, man, he was ready to go then. Of course,
Yeah.
temperature had changed a little bit. And,
Yeah.
I guess he realized, hey, I got to pay attention to what I'm doing. The dog has self-preservation, and that's something that I really like.
Yeah.
Yeah. He tries, he seems like he thinks, and some dogs don't, they just go.
They do. And I got a lot of mine that do that. They just go until, you got to throw them in a water trough and cut their ear and do all kinds of things to save them. But some of them do, man. They just got a little bit more sense. Like people.
Now he's not super fast. He's probably not as fast as the most of them, but
but a dog with a dog with medium speed that doesn't make mistakes.
That's him.
Is 10 times faster than one that, looks like his hair's on fire.
That's
doesn't do anything.
That's one thing I've noticed, and not just me, but all the people that have hunted with him as well. And we've carried him to several states. And the reason I did, I was like, well, I want to see how he does, because like we were talking about earlier, taking a picture with a big bobcat or a mountain lion or a bear, that's cool. No big deal. I worry about what my dog's doing too, though.
Yeah, for sure. You bet.
And so, like, when you have a good dog like that, I don't want to be out here talking him up good if all he can do is right here at the house. If I could take him to Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, Tennessee, and he does good in all of those, that might be
that's a keeper.
Yeah, that's more on what I'm looking for.
You bet.
But I like the way you said that, though. You get one that, that does as a good medium speed, he's faster if he don't make a lot of mistakes.
That's right. And I've always said, I'll take a client hunting and the dogs will get out of the dog crate, and they're, we caught 3 cats the night before, and they're, barely moving down the road for the first little while and grunting and groaning. The eyes are matted shut, and they're like, my God, are we going to be able to catch a cat? And I'm just like, man, tired dogs don't make mistakes. Just you watch. And, they'll warm out of it and go on. I'd way rather them be like that than bouncing off the wall.
Yeah. And I've seen some of those dogs that are, like real fast, and they overrun.
Well, they do. And the reason for that is because of the competition stuff. They've bred them to be just exceedingly fast, but that you could put all their scents in a thimble.
Yes.
And it's what you want in your hound. If you want to win those hunts in the competition stuff, then man, that's what you need.
Yeah.
But I want to catch bobcats, and so I don't need that. I need what I've got.
That's right. So you said your longest race was 4 hours.
4 hours and 40 minutes.
Now, was that a big cat that done that, or
no,
what's your biggest cat?
No, it was probably a 3/4 grown female.
Really?
Yeah, but 90% of the longer races, and when I say longer races, say an hour or hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost always going to be a female. I would bet you, and I could certainly go back through all the logs and find out, but that'd take months.
Mm-hmm.
I bet I haven't caught 50 tomcats in my entire life that ran an hour.
Really?
No.
So they had more of the tree instinct or the fight instinct?
One or the other.
Yeah.
But they're gonna take a long run right at first, straight as an arrow. I think they're going back to home or somewhere they're familiar with.
Yeah.
And once they get there, they're going to start making circles, and he's going to stay right there. And he's going to either get caught or he's going to tree. Another factor is that a tomcat is obviously putting out a lot more scent than a female. So the dogs, can really bring the heat.
Yeah, they can stay up under him a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. And because I don't think he's any more tricky than a female, but the female might get a 100-yard lead pulled off where that tom's putting out so much scent, he's just not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, that makes.
I think that's got more to do with it than anything.
Yeah, it does. It makes perfect sense. That's same, just like a boar hog would put off more scent than a shoulder
for sure.
or a sow.
You bet.
Now them old boar hogs, sometimes they'll take off and run them dogs right into a group of sows and pigs.
I know it.
Have you ever had a cat do that? Take it back into another cat?
I haven't, but I have 3 times caught 2 cats in the same tree, and they were grown cats, not kittens. And I think they were probably breeding, and they just stuck together, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, one of them, it was out in kind of some prairie country, and there was one tree out there, and I was actually hunting with a friend of mine, and that has dogs too, and we've had both some of his and some of mine, and they were running out in this prairie stuff, and we were just kind of a full moon. We were just watching, and I don't remember who it was. This was 20 years ago. I said, it'd be cool if he goes up in that tree, we'll be able to see it from here. Well, dadgummit, if he didn't, and from the road, we were 200 yards from the tree, and it was the only tree out there. It looked like a lion. And I was like, Gary, that's a lion. You got a gun in your truck? And he goes, yeah, let me grab it. And he grabbed the gun, and we walked out there, and it was 2 bobcats standing. One's head was on the other one's butt.
No.
And they were standing out on a limb, and it wasn't even a lion, but it looked like it from the main road out there.
Oh, I bet. So, I mean, you said, we were talking about lions earlier. How many have you treed? I know you said you went with other people or other places.
Well, I've used other people's dogs, but with my dogs, I've caught 17, but my brother has caught far more.
Okay.
Far more than that. Yeah. He goes down to a bunch of different ranches along the border. He'll go anywhere. And I just don't. I do, but I don't do it as much as he does.
Wow. Now, you say the word lion, and you would think automatically, synonymously, it'd be like, okay, these things have got to be bigger, faster, stronger, harder.
No,
that's not necessarily true, is it?
No, in fact, it's the opposite. A mountain lion. I'm pretty sure you could catch a mountain lion with 3 beagles, and they don't even really have to have 4 legs. I've never.
Shit.
I'm serious, man. I mean, a mountain lion is easy. I've never in my life run a mountain lion over 10 minutes after he's jumped. Never. With my dogs or with my brother's dogs. Never. I mean, he's either bayed or treed right now. And they'll get in a tree, and you walk up there and you're like, man, there's no way that tree's fixing to break, because the limb will be like the size of my thumb. And they're just swaying out there on it. And I mean, it's like that's easy to catch a lion. It is nothing to it down here in this country, especially.
Yeah, I was going to say down there, because I mean, don't get me wrong. I've heard from guys out in the far west, and out there in I guess you'd say like Idaho, Oregon, places like that, Montana.
Well, we don't have the rocks to deal with.
That's
the big rock
outcroppings. Is that the difference?
Well, that's the difference, and another difference is the fact that those mountain dogs are bred to trail that cat. That might be 12, 15 hours old. There's no telling how far they got to trail it before they actually get that cat jumped. I know some guys that'll trail it all day take the dogs out, build a camp, get up next morning and start on it again.
Good Lord.
And, maybe 2-3 days into it before they actually get it jumped. So you don't really know how far away that cat is. With us, we're probably not going to run a cat over 8 hours old, a lion.
Yeah.
And so, with that leapfrogging that these dogs do, they're going to get up under him pretty fast. And once they get him jumped, you can go ahead and start putting on your stuff because it's over. It's done.
Damn.
The last one we caught, they called us on one of those deer places down there. We drove down there. It was right before dark. And they were going to take us down to where there was a deer kill at this little stock pond. And as we drove up there, we saw the cat run over the dam. And I said, just stop right here. I didn't put collars on. I didn't do anything. I turned the dogs out. We were 300 or 400 yards from the dam. I drove up to the dam. The dogs were all down there getting a drink of water. I walked over to the back side of the dam, hissed them a little bit. They all ran up there. They all started barking, and we stood there on the dam. The cat went 75 yards, went right up a dead mesquite tree, and it was over.
Damn.
I mean, we ran him, I don't know, 15 seconds.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's nothing to it. Nothing.
Yeah, that's just, I don't know now. But I guess I'll have to definitely do the bobcat versus the mountain lion.
I don't know. It's pretty damn cool to catch a mountain lion.
I'm going to bring me a damn 3-legged beagle if I come out there, though.
We'll catch him with it.
Oh, hey, if I bring anything, I guarantee you we'll catch a biscuit. That's about all we catch with my dogs.
Well, there was an old man, he's dead now, from Charlotte, Texas, that had hog dogs forever. Everybody knew him. He caught hogs. He was very good at it and had good dogs. He caught 7 different mountain lions with his hog dogs.
Wow. Yeah, that's. I know. I'm not saying that ours wouldn't catch one because, now my old pack of dogs definitely would try it. They were going to try anything. They were rough. Most of them were mixed up, cur dogs and had some bulldog in them, or a lot of bird bulls. They were mostly running catch dogs. These that we got now, they might have enough sense to tree it or bay it.
Well, I'm telling you, if you ever get after one and they put any kind of heat on him, you got him.
That's just so. That's just so wild to me.
I don't know. I mean that, and that is not the case in the mountain states where I've run other people's dogs, and when I've gone with friends and so forth and so on, it's not the case. You might run one a pretty good little while, and he may get away if he gets up in the outcroppings, the rocks. But in South Texas, if you get him jumped, it's done. Load your gun. It's over.
Do you have to deal with any type of exotics down there that are on the loose?
Yeah, or some of those places. Where you get a call to go catch a lion, there'll be exotics in there, but I had a dog one time run a nilgai, but I shocked him off of it, and that's the only time that's ever happened.
Okay.
But when I go to somebody else's property, that I don't hunt regular, I just take the A-team. I don't take any young dog.
Yeah, I fully understand that.
But I don't, especially if they have exotics, because that's a big concern of theirs, and they've tried everything they possibly can to get rid of this cat without calling people with dogs, because it seems to be a running consensus in Texas that dogs run deer off.
Oh, it's everywhere. Same thing here.
It is absolutely asinine, and I'm actually going to do a show on that this year because I always have deer eating out of some of the feeders on the ranch while I'm running a cat, and I'm going to film it and show people.
Yes, sir.
But it's even more asinine when you own a high fence place, because where in the hell are they going to go?
That's even a better point. Yeah, where are they going to
go? But just out of respect for other people's land, I don't take any puppies when I, go on a lion call or something like that. If they've got, I just don't do it because I don't want to stir them up or upset them or do anything like that anyway.
Mm-hmm. One of the things you hear people talk about, dogs running deer off. An old man put it to bed. We had a big discussion one morning down there at the local place where everybody was meeting in the mornings, eating a biscuit, And they, we can still run deer dogs in a large portion of the state here in Alabama. And that's what he told him. He said, you think them dogs really run the deer off? Somebody was complaining about a coon hunter bringing their dogs is what it was. And he said, well, we run deer dogs. He said, we got one property, it's their hunting club. He said, we hunt it every weekend of deer season.
Yeah.
He said, so how do you think we kill deer every weekend? He said, if we run them off. He said, we run the same places. He said, it just doesn't make any sense why you would think that. And I was like,
it's not true. I mean,
no.
it is absolutely ridiculous, but you play hell trying to convince somebody of that.
And I don't know why it's so hard to even, because like you said, you got the proof. Like we've been on hog hunts, been out hog hunt or coon hunting at night, and have a nice buck just walking up to us because he's curious what we are.
That's a daily occurrence when you're cat hunting here. Literally happens all the time.
Especially younger deer, they come right up to you. Have to run them off.
Yeah,
you have to shoot them off.
Yeah,
and secondly, we don't, none of us guys out here doing this for real. We don't have deer dogs. I've got hog dogs. You've got bobcat dogs. We're not running deer.
I've never run a deer on purpose. I have run a deer, but I've never run one that I meant to be running.
Yes, sir.
In fact, I caught one time. But everyone that I've ever run that a collar was broken, I couldn't get it shut down. The deer run a big circle every time.
Yep.
It's pretty damn hard to get off of something in a circle.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that's one of the areas where social media has a positive place, because you can take a camera and you can show people, look. But then they'll just say, oh, that's just because it's in Texas.
Yeah.
Or, they'll come up with some other excuse as to why. But, if that were true, then you'd never catch any hogs either, because there's a lot of people that hog hunt. And obviously you catch hogs, so they're not running all the hogs off.
That's exactly right.
My brother and I go through this at least one or two cats every year. We'll have a cat that we just straight up can't catch. I mean, we'll run him 4 or 5 different times, and he will make us look like an idiot.
Yes, sir.
And get away. But the other one can go down there with a different set of dogs and dang near catch him every time. Well, if the dogs were running, and if the dogs were running the animals off, well, you couldn't do that.
No, I mean, like I said, and the thing about it is, most of these people that are making these claims, that's out here just hooping and hollering about it, you would think that they, would have it. It's just lack of common sense, really. That's what it is. I mean,
it is.
You can be educated all you want, but that's just common sense.
But I try to at least try to understand, what they're talking about from their perspective. And, honestly, if you really think about it, they go through a lot of pains to hang stands and do all the things that they do to go deer hunting, if it's deer that they're worried about. And absolutely unequivocally, the dogs are not going to run the deer off. But if you've never been around dogs, I can see how you would think they would. And I can see how you would absolutely not believe anybody that says otherwise. But once you've seen it and you still say that, well, you just need your head examined, man. I mean, there's something wrong.
That's more along the lines of what I'm talking about. There's like somebody that, you've shown videos to and pictures and whatever, and be like, look, here's a coon dog treeing a coon, and there's a buck laying right over there. And on free range property. So it's not messing with it. And they're like, well, that's just right there. It does it in other places. Like, no, it's the same. Like, if the dog isn't chasing it, and even if the dog did chase it, there's not a lot of dogs that are just going to flat out run a deer down every time. You can catch a deer. Most of us have been in that situation, and but as far as like just constantly running a deer down and catching it, I don't know of many dogs that could do that, you know.
There isn't very many of them that can do it at all. And, over in Africa, there's a guy, and I'd tell you his name, but I can't pronounce it, that runs hounds and greyhounds on like impalas and things like that.
Yeah.
And he catches stuff like that every single day.
Wow.
And he still does it every single day. So it's not true, but you're going to have a hard time convincing people of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I do understand when somebody's in their stand and dogs come blowing by under their stand.
Yeah.
That ought to not happen.
No, I agree with that.
But as far as, don't run dogs in this property because it's going to run the deer off, that's just asinine. That's not true.
No, we got some guys that they're in the same lease we are, which it's our lease, and they rabbit hunt. But I've never seen these guys even tote a shotgun. None of them. They just just run the dogs.
Just like to hear the dogs run.
And so when deer season came in last year, he called me. He was kind of worried. He was like, man, he said, I really don't have anywhere to run my dogs. He said, is it okay if I come up during the week? I said, well, you can run them anytime. Just let me know. I said, that way, in case my boys or family or whoever's up there and they're deer hunting, that way everybody knows. Well, it was Thanksgiving, that week of Thanksgiving. And now here we can shoot a lot of deer. We can kill quite a lot of deer. How many did you kill that week, Nate? 9 or 11? That week of Thanksgiving. Altogether, it was the whole week.
I think altogether we killed like 12 or 13, but I think I had killed 5 or 7, something like that. I had killed one almost every day.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's every day because there was.
I think there was they were running a buck and a doe because we can do that.
Well, that's right. Logan and Luke was up there too.
Yeah,
that's right. I forgot about it. Anyway, that one day the whole bed of the truck was stacked, and the reason was I told those guys that were running beagles, I said, hey, y'all go put in right over here, and they went and put their dogs out over there. And I told the boys, I said, now y'all go line up right over on this side. And hey, there was no running, none of that. They just eased on over. And we got back straps,
That's right. That's right.
And that's called common sense. You know
what I'm
saying?
But, that work. That's good hunting right there. Is what that is.
And I shot let's see, both those bucks I killed last year were, they're within bow range. One was 15 yards, 20 yards, and the guy was running beagles an hour before that, less than 50 yards from there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, and it's a 130-inch 8-point for here. That's a big deer.
Dang right. And it doesn't hurt anything, but that's something that I think we're going to just have to agree to disagree on because people are never going to see it that way.
No, they're never going to see it like that, man. That's crazy. And it's cool that, guys like us, we can see a lot of this stuff the same way. And of course, there's some things I'm sure we don't agree on every little thing, but we can utilize these platforms that we have right here in our hand, YouTube, this podcast, all this stuff to get information out there and to try to come together because we all got to be together anybody that's running dogs. Hunters in general need to be together.
They do. And that's another discussion for another time. But the other team is very well funded, very well organized, and they're all on the same page, and not one of us are. No. And that's a problem.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll have to do something else on that one. Is there anything else you wanted to add on this episode here, Mr. Dan?
No, I'd like to thank Dog and Hunt Supply for keeping me in the game. But other than that, no, sir, I'm good. If anything else you want to ask me, though, I'm all ears.
I don't know. I think that's about it right now. After we get done talking right here, we're going to talk about that other guy for a minute. We'll cut the recording.
Yeah, I'll tell you all about that.
All right. Well, hold tight for just a second. Let me do the outro. Look, we appreciate you taking your time and doing this.
Oh, yes.
And
I appreciate you guys having me, man. I really I enjoyed it.
Yeah, like I said, and we get some more stuff together, we can do it again. I'd love to pick your brain more on some of these running walkers, where we got a little private time we can talk and all that good job, man. And I'll get Nate to put your social media stuff down in the description.
Yeah, everything will be linked down below.
So that way,
Melon Ranch Hounds and Melon Creek Outfitters.
There you go.
Yes,
Y'all make sure y'all go like, follow, and subscribe. You got to subscribe. That's the biggest thing. You got to subscribe.
That way you could follow me through 11 trees and watch me die.
That's right. The man's just died. So I'll bring you back. So. All right, y'all. Hey, appreciate y'all. Until the next time, we'll see y'all. All right.
Hope you enjoyed that episode. If there's anything or anyone you'd like to hear on the podcast, or if you'd like to come hunt with us, don't hesitate to contact us at dixiedoggers01@gmail.com.